Is a franchise an investment, or am I really just buying myself a job, Kim? If that's the question you're asking, then this is the video for you. So my name is Kim Daly, and I'm a franchise consultant. And for the last 23 years, I have been a franchise consultant, which means I've been helping people just like you say yes to their dreams to own a business by aligning their background, interests, skills, finances, and life goals to some of the best franchise opportunities out there today. Now, if you get inspired to begin your own journey, which is the point of Kim Daly TV, then I want to be your franchise consultant. So stay with me until the end of the video, and I will share how you could be my next candidate. Okay, so if you're asking the question, is a franchise an investment, or am I buying myself a job? That's why we're here. That's what we're going to talk about. So let's back up and let's just first define what an investment is. So an investment would mean you're putting money in to get a return. Now, a business cash flowing investment means you're going to create business cash flow. You're going to build equity, right? Like when you rent a home versus owning your home, you're building equity in that home. So when you go to sell the home, you can pull that equity out. Well, the same thing is going to be true in a franchise. So you're building equity along with the cash flow, and that equity is yours to sell at some future date for some multiple that you can get for it. And that's going to be based on the business, the economy. There's many different factors. And then the last thing we're looking at are the tax advantages. So a good investment will create some tax advantage, okay? So cash flow, equity, and tax advantage. So is a franchise an investment? Yes. Am I buying myself a job, Kim Daly? Well, sometimes you are. So let's explain that. So there are two different types of franchise investments as they're structured according to the ownership role. So one ownership role I will define as an executive full-time owner. And another ownership role I will define as an owner-operator. So in both of these scenarios, owners are full-time in their business. But the difference is what they're focused on and the size that the business can grow to. So this is why it's really, really important that you invest in the right franchise for your goals. This is also why when you're doing due diligence out there on your own without somebody like Kim Daly, it's really, really hard to know. Is the franchise you're looking at an executive full-time ownership business? Or are they looking for people that want to be hands in the clay, sleeves rolled up, owner operators? So when you come to me, I have 20 years of experience. These franchisors, they're my friends. I know the inside structures. I know which franchises want that executive full-time owner and which franchises want that owner-operator. Within the same industry, you can have very different structures, and those different structures are going to equate to very different top-line revenue. Okay, so I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'll come back to that. So let's go back to the full-time operator role. So this is an owner who is full-time engaged in their business, but they have an executive mindset, meaning they are not coming in, sleeves rolled up, doing the job. They may do that for 30 days or 60 days or maybe 90 days so they can learn it, but they're more focused on leadership of a team. So creating jobs for people and then training and mentoring those people to work in the business, which is what's freeing up their time to work on the business. Okay, that's an executive owner. So the executive owner is more focused on scale and driving revenue. So they're working out the efficiencies of the business so that they can scale, and they're looking for growth. And very often, these types of franchisors are looking for the mindset of that empire builder. They want people that want to grow $1 million top-line business in the first 12 months. And that's a very different mindset, culture, approach to the business than the owner-operator franchise. One is not better than the other. They're just different, and they're used by different owners and different franchisors for different outcomes. So this is why when you come to me and you tell me you want to own a franchise, I'm infinitely more interested in what your goals are than I'm interested in what kind of business you think you want to invest in. Because depending on what you want to create, that's going to then determine the types of industries, and in some cases, even the particular brand that I ultimately serve up to you and ask you to go on the blind date with. So the owner-operator business is for the person that, as it's described, wants to be the owner-operator. Or sometimes in franchising, we say the man in the van with the plan. This is the guy or gal that wants to roll up their sleeves and be out there customer-facing. Maybe they've led teams of people in their corporate career and they're like, I'm done hiring, training, firing. I just want a business that carries me into the second part of my life. I can work with my spouse, but I don't want to have to rely on anybody other than myself. So we can't judge. No one's here to say what's right or wrong. Every investor's different and has a different goal. And that's why there's thousands of franchise opportunities out there. And you going it alone and trying to figure out what's the best franchise for you without somebody like Kim Daly, it's totally crazy. You're going to spend so much time probably looking at all the wrong businesses for your goals. You're going to come here and I'm going to know in the same industry, 3 different franchises that are all, let's say, window treatment franchises. Which one is looking for the executive full-time empire builder mentality and is going to drive you to $1 million top-line business in the first 12 months? And which one has average validation after 2-3 years of 350 top-line revenue? Now, before you start judging, well, Kim, obviously I want the one with the $1 million top line. Hold on, because both operators could be taking home the same amount of money. So just because you hear 350 top line revenue doesn't mean people aren't clearing 100 or 150 or even more on that, right? We don't know anything about the structure of the franchise as I'm describing it today. What I'm talking about is the structure of the toolbox that they've created and the mindset in the franchise, the culture. So who they are looking for as franchisees. That's what I'm talking about. And this is why you must know who you want to be as a franchisee before you begin exploring franchises. I don't want you conforming your life to fit the brand. I want the brand to conform to the owner that you want to be and the business of your dreams. Okay? So empire builder mentality is full-time executive owner. It doesn't mean you're never going to work in the business, but you're not buying yourself a job. And if you are, you're buying yourself a C-suite job, an executive CEO as a leader and coach, focused on the strategy and the customer acquisition and the multi-unit potential growth of the business. You're going to be building and scaling a multi-million-dollar business, hopefully in a short amount of time. The owner-operator wants to keep things a little bit simpler. Maybe they start from home. They don't need an office because they don't have a team of people. Maybe they don't start with a fleet of vehicles. They drive their own vehicle and go into a vehicle as they need to. So it allows you to start more cash minimize, overhead minimize, risk minimized if you want, and to be more fully in control of it. But that means you have to show up. You have to be willing to put in the time and the sweat and the tears in order to make the business go. Okay. And again, that's going to probably lead to smaller overall revenue, but by no way am I implying that the empire builder is going to make more money than the owner operator. Sometimes owner operators have very simple models and the margins are astronomical. So on what seems like a relatively low amount of top line revenue, they're taking a whole bunch to the bottom line. But the trade-off is they have to show up and work to do it. So if you're that guy or gal, that could be the perfect scenario. If you don't want to show up, meaning you want to build an engine and it can build and grow to a multi-million-dollar business, right? But you're going to have a lot more expenses because you have a lot more stuff to support that business going without you being the driver of it. Does that make sense? So to answer the question, is a franchise an investment or am I really just buying myself a job, Kim Daly? What's the answer? It depends on you. The franchise, either way, is an investment because even the owner-operator has built something of equity and of value that they can apply some multiple to and sell. But the person they're going to sell that business to is going to be someone like them. And typically, the more time commitment that an owner is putting into a business, the smaller the multiple. Now, I'm not trying to make any earnings claims to you, but just in theory, that's typically how it goes. If you are an owner operator and you're putting in time, the multiple of what you're going to sell your business for could be less than if you're over here in the empire builder environment and you build this multi-million-dollar operation and you have managers and then you have team leaders and you are far removed from the day-to-day operation. Well, you're going to attract a different type of investor to come in and buy that. And time is money. So the investor coming in looks at the business and says, oh, well, I won't need to put in too much time, assuming that all these people and all this structure that's been built stays in place. So I'm willing to pay a higher multiple for that business because my time is money. And that's how that works. So a franchise is always an investment in either scenario, but sometimes it can be buying yourself a job, depending on you and your goals. Now, the long and short of all of this is, if you're thinking about investing in a franchise as an empire builder or as an owner operator, I don't want you going out there on your own trying to figure all of this out for yourself. There's no need to. I offer a free service for you. That's right. Everything that I do for you, totally free. I don't work for free, but you don't pay me. I am paid by these amazing franchisors, kind of like a recruiter. So you don't have to worry about it and I don't have to worry about it. My fee, that's agreed to between my company that I'm an independent consultant of, which is called Fran Choice, and those franchisors. So you and I get to work together, have all the fun, trying to figure out if franchising is the right investment for you. And if we're blessed and it works out where you get to go on and become a franchisee, then I get paid by an agreed to fee between my company and the franchisor. So it's totally free for you. You have nothing to risk and everything to gain, especially your time in trying to figure out what is the right investment for me. What kind of investor do I want to be? Maybe you're out there and you're like, I don't know. I don't know enough about either one to even make that decision right now. Awesome. Come to me. We'll massage the conversation and I'll help you. More than likely, we'll cast a wide net. If you're unsure, then it makes sense to probably explore both kinds of opportunities and let you see for yourself inside these franchises how it feels. Sometimes you got to try it on to know how it's going to feel. You got to get out there and meet some of the owners in the franchises and hear their stories. And then your story will resonate with the people you're talking to. And that's how you start to connect the dots and say, yeah, this is where I belong. So if you're ready to begin that journey, then I want you to follow the link in the description right now. My services are totally free for you, as I've already described. There's no reason to go it alone. It's a daunting task at best. And I have 20 plus years of relationship and knowledge and experience that you get to leverage. Not to mention, I'm also a top performer in my business, and I'm going to teach you all about that along our path together. So please follow the link in the description right now. I can't wait to meet you. Thank you for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.